Come and get started on a new mission, a new direction, a new intention. Welcome to 5.8G Alive at Connections 50 Plus. I am Terri-Ann Joseph Brathwaite.
And I am Jennifer Gibbons Joseph, catering to all your prospects in the third act of life.
Economic well-being, social gratification, personal fulfillment.
Join us on Wednesday at 6 p.m. on Connections 50 Plus Facebook page, YouTube channel,
and on Gael the Caribbean.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Connections 50 Plus 5.8G Alive. And I'm saying alive because after that hectic carnival week, some of you may have gone to the beach, some enjoyed themselves, whatever you did. I am Jennifer Gibbons Joseph, one of the co-creators of Connections 50 Plus. And as usual with me on this show is my colleague.
Hi, everyone. I'm Terri-Ann Joseph Brathwaite, the other co-creator. Welcome.
And we have a special guest, on the show today with us to chat, and we will tell you more about it in our next segment. All right, so let's get into it. Yes, folks, as mentioned, this evening we are having with us a very special guest. She's not just a special guest, but she's one of Connections 50 Plus top fans. Always there in our show on the 5.8G Alive, commenting and really being part of the audience. Marva is a professional life coach, and her focus is on spirituality and life purpose. She's also certified and accredited emotional freedom technique practitioner. You may ask, what is that? It's referred to as EFT. And she has been practicing for over 10 years in this field. And as an EFT, she addresses, deep trauma in our lives that make us feel depressed or stuck, not good enough, all the different issues that we have. So Marva, it is really a pleasure having you as a guest with us this evening, just to share some thoughts. And you know how we do it on this show, is a conversation.
Yes.
So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure. I'm delighted. I'm on the other side of the screen. Normally I'm in the chat chatting you all down. But I'm super delighted, and I feel very at home with you all on this chat. And thank you so much.
What I didn't mention to you, that Marva is not based in Trinidad. Marva is based out in Maryland, Marva?
Yes, Maryland.
All right. Yeah. So let's start and get into the conversation. Marva, this time in Trinidad, and I know you as a Trinidadian, you follow us all the time, and you know what's happening in the country. We just came out of a very hectic season.
Yeah.
Carnival, which many of us will partake of and participate in. Yeah. And carnival time is a very busy time, as they say. Carnival is a bacchanal time also. And at this time, whereas some of us going into the Lenten season, but generally, I have found there's a lot of I would say, anxiety in the air. Our cohort, we're still getting over from that pandemic time, and we are a bit. For me personally, and I don't know in terms of Terri-Ann, but I also find not just the anxiety, but I don't want to, I want to remove, I said hating, and hating was too strong, but I find people very negative. You get a lot of negative comments with what is happening. I would like you to just share with us what you think is happening. Why you think am I right? I don't know if I'm right, but how would you interpret that observation, that of anxiety or negative, being negative?
Well, a lot of people, because of all the action that is going on outside, and people are focused on what is outside of themselves as opposed to going within. People have apparently lost the ability how to go within, how to get silent, how to understand yourself. They prefer to deflect and look at everything else that is going on outside of themselves and not look at themselves, because looking at yourself is a very hard job. And I know there are a lot of people out here who are actually suffering. They are in our age group. They are suffering. And if we understand that, and we can move, because if you can understand that they are suffering, some people have no economically, some people might know where the next meal is coming from. Some people are disabled. Some people just don't want to face themselves. So they're looking outside of themselves, blaming others, finding ways to not look at themselves. That's how that is what I'm seeing. Mm-hmm. And there's so many things that can distract you from yourself. And doing self-work is hard work, to do self-work.
Yeah.
So
I so agree with you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I really do believe that a lot of the angst that Jennifer is correct. There's a lot of anxiety around and negativity and
yes.
hate as a result. It comes over as not a loving society. So therefore, in the absence of love, the word hate is put in. And I do believe fundamentally it's what people choose to do, because it's easier to focus outward rather than deal with what hurts or pains or lacks inside. Yes. And that's where the root of the thing is. Mm-hmm.
Yes. But you see, people, this is an hour that we have to talk about this, but this is deeper than we're even talking about. It's even deeper than that. And as you said, you have to choose. You have to be self-directed and self-motivated. You have to be reflective. Because if you're not reflective, you wouldn't know where you're going. You reflect on where you are, and where you are is where you're supposed to be to reflect, because the present moment is the best moment. But they prefer comfortably to look at other things outside of themselves than to look at themselves. So with all the limited beliefs, with all the anxiety, which the anxiety could be coming from social media too. The question is, what am I doing with myself? What am I doing to bring myself in a focused, balanced place? And it's not a physical place, it's a mental place. So where do we start when we have nothing to start with? When we are seeped in limited beliefs, we are believing all the fake news, we are absorbing the energies of the outside world, and while we are absorbing that, we are also depleting our energy, we're depleting our spirit. We can't be silent enough. We don't want to be alone. So we can't be silent enough to know and to hear, to get clarity, to get wisdom, to know what to do. So you prefer to be outside with the outside people. Carnival is not a recipe for change. Mm-hmm. Carnival is not going to allow you to feel better after Carnival. If Easter comes, you're still not going to feel better. You have to be able to do the inner work first. Self-compassion, self-love, work on yourself in order to have this expansion that you seek. You can't sit down at home with your hand under your belly looking at TV and looking at everything on social media.
And wishing the belly disappeared.
And wishing the belly disappeared.
The same belly you're holding up.
The same belly you're holding up here.
Marva, tell me something. There are many people and that don't want to face. You said, yes, you have to face the situation and look at where you are now in order to move forward.
Yes.
There are many people who are not happy with where they are.
Yes.
And they may, I'm just saying so, may look at ways to not face it. And their way may be anytime there is some, whether it's carnival, Easter, or any sort of activity, kind of get involved in that to mask, as you say, their pain or their reality. Is that a possibility?
Yes, that is a possibility. I'm telling you, working on yourself is hard work. It's better to deflect. Like some people keep pointing fingers and blaming other people for this and blaming them for that, and just want to be in that zone because it's a mask that they're wearing, like you said, because they don't want to look at it fully. Baron, let me tell you how you were brought up. Because you see, we live our lives in the beginning, you know, you go to school, you get married, you have the kids, and you're working for your kids, you're working towards that. But you have to redefine yourself in this go round, because guess what? This is a better time. Later is greater. This is a greater time for us because guess what? When we didn't have the capacity, we had the capacity, but we consumed with the energies of family, cooking, all the different things with the job, with all those different things. But now this is another time for us to really redefine ourselves and come to be and learn to know who we are. To be is a new dawn for us. That is why later is greater. There is so much to discover about yourself. Now you can know your true self. Well, that's what happened to me. I didn't get here, and I'm very grateful for where I am, trust me, because life is still happening, things are still happening. But you have to really understand that where you were is not where you are now. And you have to come to terms with the word aging.
Marva, it will be good for you to tell people where you were and where you are so that they will understand how this poise came to be.
Well, the story will take maybe a year or two, but I will condense it. I will condense it to say I was a single mother with 2 kids. They are grown now, which I'm very happy about. And it was a fight, you know. Prior to that, living in Trinidad, being raped, trying to go to school, and my head is not in college because I lived in Canada. And, you know, not being focused, not knowing myself, living for other people, depending on other people to decide things for me, just not knowing myself. But I had a seeking spirit. I had a seeking spirit to know more about myself. I wanted to know more. And I believe that being a life coach, my life prior to being a life coach was preparing me for where I am now. I didn't know it, but I know it now. With being raped, you're not focused. Yep. You cannot be focused. You're nervous. Then you have your children, you're nervous about your daughter. It's all different things I've been through. And in corporate America, racism, blatant racism, all those things you have to navigate. I have to just mention that 36 years ago, I decided to change my religion and I became a Buddhist. I've been a Buddhist for 37 years. And that has allowed me to not only change, but to transform. It's been difficult. You get up Mondays, everything is looking good. Plus that I had depression. I suffered from depression. I suffered from we're talking about mental illnesses now. Depression is a mental illness. Agoraphobia, I'm afraid to go outside. The whole gamut of what life could present to me I was presented with. Being fired from different jobs, you have bills to pay. But I recognize that all these things that I've been through was setting me up for a big comeback in my 50s, 60s, and now I'm 71. Isn't that adorable and wonderful?
Did you come to that realization on your own?
No, I have a lot of mentors. I read a lot of books. One of the things, I remember meeting a woman on the bus in my depressive days, and I'm on the bus in DC coming from work, and I'm very kind of suspicious and nervous, this kind of thing, and cannot stay in the present. I was constantly in the future. And that is what caused the anxiety.
Anxiety. Living in the future is anxiety. Yeah.
When I was sitting next to an old woman on the bus, and she said, "What's wrong with you?" Which is, African American woman. And I said, "Nothing is wrong with me." And she said, "Something is wrong with you, and I want you to talk to me." And I said, "I have nothing to say because I'm feeling so guarded and so, so consumed in this staying in the future, not in the present moment, and worried and all of that." But you know what she told me? I cannot even tell you what the book was, but she reached into her bag and she pulled out this red hardcover book. And she said, "You see this book? It's a positive thinking book. And I want you to read and find every positive thinking book you could find on the planet." And that's what I did. Zig Ziglar, Norman Vincent Peale, Les Brown. Is it Les Brown?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every imaginable, book that was positive. Then I got into Iyanla Vanzant. I read all her books. That's my mentor. Of course, Oprah. I just started to read these books to get out. You see, because what was happening is when you're depressed, you have negative thoughts. And now I understand that a negative thought, action, anything can be changed like that. You could change a negative thought. You could put the radio on, you could go and dance. There are many things you can do. But I didn't know that. So I stayed in the future. I could not settle in the moment. But those books, along with, I didn't yet even go to therapy. I did it on my own because I knew there was something more. So looking back now, I realized that all these things served for me to step into coaching and do it with purpose, because I had to have a purpose, something better, something that I love doing, which is, helping people, So having a purpose so that I can help people find their purpose, so that I can walk with the many shoes that I've walked in, I could now walk in other people's shoes.
Yeah.
And help them not to go as far as I did, at least to reduce the suffering. Mm-hmm. That's why I feel for the women who wouldn't even talk when they're in menopause. I know about that. You shut it down because some transformation is happening and you can't understand it. There's nothing you could do. Your hormones are fluctuating and you're not talking. You have to talk. There's one thing that if you have something going on and you get in a meditative state and you're not saying anything and you get silent to hear the word, to hear the wisdom, to hear the clarity. But you have to talk to your friends, because your friends and your family will recharge you. It's a recharging mechanism. We could laugh, we talk, we joke, we talk about the belly.
Marva, you said something, Terri-Ann, agree, and I'm not disagreeing with it, but I just want to mention something. That is about being in the present and not allow yourself to be too much in the future. All right. Now, on the other side of that, we are told we should dream and look into the future. And if we do that, it would keep us, it would move us, it would cause us to take action, as again, just focusing on where we are. How would you, in terms of being told that aspect of it, and then hearing you say, it's best to remain in the present, to understand where you are, and not to focus on something you may not have achieved or you're not there yet. Just asking to clarify for anyone who's listening.
That is twofold. When I said that I was in the future all the time, I was in the future in a negative way. I was in fear. Fear.
Right. So that will be more fear.
In that state, Right. Only negative
Great.
thoughts are coming to you, no matter what you do. Negative thoughts coming to you, and you're afraid for the future. So you thinking,
So you're not seeing
when
a
you
bright future at all.
are not
You're only seeing
right,
darkness as okay.
you're seeing
Yeah.
darkness is supposed to be in the present moment. So when
Okay.
people say, stay in the moment is where everything happens that is good.
Okay.
Everything happens good in the moment. In a depressed state, in a state of anxiety and stress, and all the negative thoughts and negative things coming to you. And guess what? You attract negative things too. I
Okay.
attracted very negative things to me, being in the negative. That attraction might not, it is interpreted as energy. So I was attracting negative energy because people would look at me and say, what's wrong with you? Or I will have somebody attracted to me who is of the same mindset, but coming to me in a very vicious way, When you remain another thing people do with this, what we are talking about here is stay in the moment, yes, but do not constantly be talking about the negative things that are going on around you in the moment. Stop talking about, oh gosh, look at this, look at that woman, look at what she's doing, look at this thing, look at it. I don't know now, I don't know where I'll get it when, I don't know what I'll do. You're just talking about the things that are in the moment. Have an eagerness and have a plan for the future. When you talk about staying in the future, it means being eager for what is coming by you planning good things for yourself and staying with that, as opposed to only concentrating on the negative in the present.
Right.
And I think
no, thanks for clearing it up. And that's very good in terms of is when you're in that depressed stage, which is what we're talking about now.
Yes.
And so you're not even thinking anything positive. You're just seeing
No.
yourself as a failure and going
Yes.
down a negative road.
Yeah,
but
very
in the
limited.
present, you can create your what you want to happen in the present.
Yes,
You know,
could create
you
your
could
own
change
reality.
that energy.
Yes, you could create your own reality in the present. And it's a wonderful place to be. You could change a thought in a minute. If you see it going down a slippery slope in your mind, because how your mind is, sometimes it could be a bit dangerous. That subconscious mind holds everything. So sometimes it could go down a slope, and you have to be able to be aware of what is happening and catch it as quickly as possible.
Marva,
See?
I think, and I'm going to be a little controversial here.
Yes. I like controversy.
I believe that people who can do that have something that most people don't have. First of all, they're realistic and they're open to being accountable for whatever happens. Jennifer and I were talking recently, and this is something that we ponder a lot of times. And you find people are told, people don't understand that your present creates the future.
Definitely.
Eliminates whatever happened in the past. And that is the importance of the present. What happened yesterday, day before, 40 years ago, really is there. And what happens in the present, you're either validating it, reinforcing it, reminding yourself of it. And if you continue doing that, you will create a future that is much the same.
Yes.
So it says that if my future must be different from my past, something has to happen in the present, in the now, to flip the switch. And I have a view that most people just do not want to. They want to have that flip switched, or preferably have someone else do the flipping of the switch. You talked about the reluctance to look inside. But if we are unwilling to look inside and therefore account for what was in the past that led us to today, and therefore do the change around that will take us to the future. If we are willing to do that, it won't change. And I call that, first of all, taking responsibility for what has happened to you, by you, for you, whether you did it, somebody else did it, or whatever it is. And when you take that responsibility, you can then make a decision for how you will go forward, therefore impacting your future, and holding yourself accountable for whatever decision you've made. And I want to believe that it is easier to just not take responsibility, do not hold yourself accountable, and therefore continue doing the external blaming. And I would use the word blame in a bad way here. It is just when you give responsibility to something else, is the cause of what is happening.
Yes.
And I really like the point that you made, that if you don't sit and be still and account for why you are where you are, and that is okay, even if you are 100% responsible. Even if somebody else is responsible, you have the power to make a decision now, but you've got to hold yourself accountable moving forward. And I think that is where a lot of the angst happens, and where people just go off the rails because it's just too hard.
Yes, this is very hard for some people. I have a little metaphor that I use for being stuck. And sometimes you get too comfortable with stuck. And then you begin to stink. And then you don't know where to go. You don't know how to come out of it. And you have to have some self-compassion. But one of the words that people do not use often is reflection. Because if you're not feeling comfortable in your skin, you have to go by how you feel. And if you don't feel comfortable, especially at this stage, if something is not feeling comfortable, you don't get a feeling in your gut that this is not right, it's a feeling. You have to address how you feel and make a change. But some people refuse to address how they feel, because feeling might entail they having to reflect, they having to take responsibility for their own happiness and create. Nobody's going to create it for you. All the things that people say, this is the reality, this is not the reality. The reality is you create.
Yeah.
If you want to live a better life. So you have to create your own reality and do your own thing and do you, and don't worry what other people doing. And don't think that you have to be everybody's conscience. Be your own. Ask yourself the important question: who am I? Where am I going? How do I feel about myself? What do I need to do to change and transform?
Marva, you're asking the questions too fast. You're asking them too fast. Slow it down.
I'm sorry.
Once it starts going like that, I think that is also one of the backdoors people use to skate out of accountability. Because when people are talking about being responsible and accountable for where you are now so that you can change where you are going, the list is so long, you could focus on nothing and wait for the end of the list. And then I forgot what was at the start. So, all right, I won't do anything.
Yes.
And the other thing I would say also is that being in the present or facing that reality, it could be a fear of being rejected. That what it is, your reality may not be one you feel accepted by your circle, whether it's your family, your friends around you. And you don't want to reveal your true self to them, because all the time, as we talk about masking, you're moving around, not really being authentic. I mean, we speak about that a lot. And that fear of rejection, that fear of not being accepted. Now, we would only know when we step out there. And we believe, and Terri-Ann keeps saying it, we believe and we're willing to be accountable for who we are. This is who I am. This is what I want to do. And that, to me, and going back to our age group, is it that after time we're so set in our ways and we have been fronting for so long that we don't even know how to step out of that,
You see,
to come out and really show who we really,
yes,
this is who we are.
yeah. But sometimes a lot of people don't know who they are because we've been programmed and indoctrinated with other people's ideals and what they claim is their ideal or dogmas, societal, machinations, whatever you want to call it, telling you who you are. And then you get comfortable in that. That is not who you are. I taught my grandson.
Laziness.
I taught my grandson, and I saw him, he did it. I said, Gavin, his name is Gavin, he's 11 years old. I said, do not allow people to define you, even society. I'm teaching him that from now because he wouldn't have all these pathologies later on in life to have to deal with. Is that correct? Is that true? Is that real? You will be confused and you'll lose your identity. And then some people get stuck in that identity. But a little girl said to him, and he's an A student, he's brilliant. I'm a grandmother, okay? Oh, Gavin, you're so dumb. And he said, I taught him, he said, stop talking about yourself because that's not me.
Exactly.
And as an adult, we have to, based on how we feel, coming into knowing who we are, have to refute and reject certain things that does not resonate with our belly, doesn't resonate with our intuition. You cannot allow yourself to stay comfortably in other people's reality when you have all this potential and capacity to expand, because let me tell you, later is really greater. Later is really greater.
Yeah.
And you have to come to terms with your age, because there's so much to be done, even to helping the young people. There's so many things that we can do, not only to grow and to learn, but to teach others. You have a purpose. Teach people how to have purpose.
Marva, I think that's a worthy ideal, but I think it is dangerous to give people that out, because many people deflect dealing with self and say, oh, I will have this one and I will have that one. And we get very, very busy also dumping on the young people. And I think it is so important for us to confront whether the selves that we are projecting today in this moment are our true selves, or whether we are projecting something we saw on Instagram or down the road or in a show window, or an imaginary personality that you always wanted to be. And if you are not, if you know that you are suppressing something about yourself that you think other people won't like, as Jennifer says, once you try to interact with people, they mightn't know what it is, but they will sense something is off, something is not real. And I think it is so important to, and this is a question that I'm presenting to you. What tools can you give to especially our cohort to help them to understand or recognize whether they're being true to themselves or whether they are putting forward an image to please external bodies or people or things?
As you were asking me that question, I consider it, you see, because everybody's different.
Yeah. So we've been judged.
One of the things that I could suggest is that you have a page, and I want to write down all the positive aspects of yourself. If it's 500, 220, and look and write down the negative aspects of yourself and reflect on those two aspects, negative and positive, and where you think you should go. Sometimes you can't tell people what to do. You have to know how to speak to them with grace so that they can understand. Everybody is not on board. Everybody is not on board with what we're talking about. This might be high talk for a lot of people. But if you look at the positive aspects, because there are wonderful and positive aspects about yourself, and have a list of the negative, and look at it and see where you are, what you're doing, how you're doing it, what you want to do, how you could change it, how you can transmute this negativity into light, into something better for yourself. They have to do it for themselves. You see, they have to take that responsibility for themselves. They have to be able to have this seeking mind to do it. They have to want to do it. They have to be ready and able to do it based on how you feel. If you're uncomfortable with doing something repeatedly and it becomes monotonous, and then you start to get down because you don't know. That's why I asked the question, where do we start when there's nothing to start with? Because some people don't want to go any further than where they are. But you have to have something to start with in order to start.
Marva, I like that the suggestion of the list as a start. It's a simple start, and anyone who decide, yes, I'm going to start, I would say they are willing to look within and make that change. Those who didn't, well, clearly they just will be stuck, they will remain stuck. And I will go a little further as you spoke about the list with all the positives and negatives. I was just thinking, what came to me was in terms of when you look at the negatives, then in that list, because it could be a long list, it could be a short list. But absolutely. In that list, maybe certain factors there that creating more harm to you, creating more havoc, you know, that maybe you can identify, identify those and say, you know what, let me go a little further now to see how I can remove those from my list. You know, you remember the list. So if one of the things may be getting angry quickly, I'm just saying that, right? And you go a little further to say, maybe I'm angry because I don't like when someone tells me what to do or something like that. Then you can start working on getting rid of that negativity within you. And people can find ways when you make that list, in negative and positive, they can themselves, I'm just making this suggestion, but they, when looking at the list and already having that mindset that, yes, I'm going to start, I think they will come up with solutions and ideas because they know themselves. As you said, everybody is different. So they know who they are. They know what their triggers, what will trigger them off, and work on it. So I really think that is a very good suggestion as a start.
Yes, and another thing too, you have to be truthful. Truth is a word that is just like love is being thrown away around the way, but truth, being truthful for yourself, seeing something for what it is and not what you want it to be.
Exactly.
Look at it square in the face.
Yep.
Even if you have a pain, take ownership for the pain. Find out where the roots of the pain are, like, where are the roots? Where is it coming from? Why am I feeling this way? Was I feeling this yesterday? Be truthful. Another thing too, you still have to be truthful to yourself so you could be truthful to other people.
Yes.
And that's where being yourself comes in. Because if you're true to yourself with compassion, the plain old truth to yourself, you give the truth, it is a gift. When you give the truth to others, it's a gift, and you feel good about yourself. It's another point you add in to your self-worth, another point you add into your self-esteem, another point you add into just your life in general. And that point it's imaginary point that you keep creating based on that level of thinking is the beginning of you stepping one foot in front of the other to create a change that you need to change for yourself. See?
Marva, one of the things we've been talking about is looking at our cohort and really trying to determine, all right, what are the issues that we are dealing with? And one of the things that really jumps out and stays front and center is that many of us are very disappointed, either that we've not achieved our dreams fully, or that our children, our siblings, or whoever it is, people who we hoped will continue to manifest our dreams, they haven't done as well. And we therefore live with a lot of disappointment. And I think that that disappointment is what is driving a lot of us to put on masks, to hide that disappointment. In seeking to face your truth, if someone is really has been so disappointed and they put on so many masks that it's almost like a cement wall in front of them now, how does someone go through that self-reflection to first face that disappointment and start moving forward?
Again, you have to come to know yourself and your needs and what you want and how you feel. You have to be.
Is there something you have to do before that? Can people do that on their own? Can they really do it on their own?
That is why you have mentors. That's why you have meditations. That's why you have people like you and Jennifer. And I don't know about this, why people don't subscribe as they should to this, because there's nothing wrong with subscribing, but the content that you all bring to the fore for the people 50 and up is astounding. So there's a stuckness there where people refuse to align themselves with this. It all starts with you. You have to have this willingness and this seeking spirit to know more.
Perhaps it's too true. And you
don't. Yes, because sometimes they don't want to look at it because we're talking too much truth, and I ain't ready to deal with the truth yet.
Yes,
you're absolutely right.
That's a fact. So that's a fact.
How does if someone is so, and I don't say this in terms of false pride or stuff, I'm dealing with trauma. You've gotten to 60 and you have survived 55 years of trauma, and you are now on your own because, all right, the husband, the children gone and everything, and this traumatized soul must now define. Where else would I go to find a model to follow other than social media or in a magazine or on TV?
You have many things.
My soul is traumatized.
Well, trauma is deep, and I deal with trauma. And a lot of us, everybody, we have trauma.
And you have different levels of trauma. Let's realize you have different levels of trauma. Not everything is person-wrecking.
Some people might be able, just like consciousness, it's a ladder. Some people might be here with it. Some people might want to stay stuck in it for the rest of their lives because they don't know where to go. Some people might be in the middle way, traversing between here and there. Some people might be really on the go and with it and going up with it. So you have to find
a nice warm fuzzy blanket that they don't want to let go of because they can't go with it.
Right. There's a metaphor that is used, that I've used to other people. You have when we were growing up in Trinidad, you have your latrine, and you don't want to go. I'm one of them people. I don't go into no latrine. It's too, the stench and it's outdoors. So there's this stench. You're afraid of the lizards, the roaches, whatever it is in there. But then you have to go because you need to eliminate. So you go, one day you're scared the next day, you might leave the door open, whatever people do to acclimate to this stench and to get climatized to this thing. But then all of a sudden you get so used to the stench that now you're walking in there with the Guardian, the newspaper, and the evening news. You're walking in with a magazine. You know why? Because you've gotten used to the stench. So some people have gotten used to that, to the stench of where they are, and they're stuck and don't know how to move away from that. They don't know. So they have to seek some kind of professional help.
Yes.
Professional help is, you're not going to find it on YouTube. There are a lot of things that you can find on YouTube that are positive for you, and you have to seek that positive, media range. But you have to seek help.
Or if not
And
professional help, definitely reach out to someone.
Somebody.
What
But
I
then
also want to say
might come
on
with
that is
pain.
that our age group, and we spoke about that in a program before, we like real Secret Service agents. We don't like to talk out. We don't want anybody to know our business. We don't want them to know what we're going through, because again, we walking around with this sort of
mask
facade,
Mask.
So that's one. That's one.
We play mask.
And because of that, you find what you're suggesting, which is real, which to me has to happen, because if they don't reach out, as you say, all they know is what is around them, what they're used to. And they have no sort of an idea what is going on the other side. So they have to reach out. So I would even say before that, before the first step is to be able to trust somebody.
Yes.
Find somebody who you could trust, who may not even have to answer you, who they will just sit down and listen. You could talk your head off. You could talk, and they may just be nodding. But what they're doing is you have a start. You're getting rid of all that was inside of you. And maybe from there, you will reach somebody else who will listen.
Yes.
The other, and you mentioned our show, and they have several, and several YouTube, different type of programs too. I mean, we have a lot of people on our chat, we talk about that will come on and they will listen. They're there, but they don't want anybody to know they're there. They're not subscribing, they're not liking, they're not even telling a friend, because we will say, please share.
They'll be identified.
They're not even sharing. And if they do, sometimes someone will come up to me and say, I like your show. And I say, yes, you watch it. And I say, where you watch it? And sometimes I say, well, I see it sometimes. They don't even want to admit. Because like if they admit that they've seen it on YouTube, like if I don't know what will happen. So I think number one for our cohort, please, you all out there who listen, those who know themselves, find somebody who would listen to you. And then maybe, because even that other suggestion you made, which was very good about writing positive, negative, they're even not scared, they're alone watching that paper, but they're scared somebody might find it. You understand? So we must learn to reach out to somebody who we can relate and be authentic, be our authentic selves.
But see, the baby boomers came out of the silent generation. It have a big family, and there are a lot of things going on that are negative in the family. I'm telling you some real deep stuff, but nobody ain't talking.
All the bad things. All the bad things.
Keep it a
all
secret.
All the bad things that are on the news now.
Really? And they will go all out to keep that secret,
to their grave.
You grew up with that. You grew up with not. We grew up without, with this secret society. But don't tell everything. Don't tell the business, But you go and tell everybody. In the meantime, what you doing? You condensing yourself. You condensing yourself. When you reach our age group, the things that you have not truthfully addressed, and I'm not just talking about other people. I myself had to address that. There are things that you will not address. And then when you reach 60 and 70, it becomes condensed. And then you're wondering what happened. Then you go into a shell. Then you realize you resign, a resignation steps in. You don't want, there's nothing for me to do. What can I do? Because you wasn't truthful and was able to address and talk and engage and say how you feel and just talk. So here you are, a condensed black ball of stuff that they did not address. Have been there.
take a big stone and crack it. A big stone. I will give a story. Just the other day, Jennifer and I were sitting and we're preparing for 2023. And we do that every year. We sit down and we try to get feedback and so on. And we start by talking about our own lives. And one of the things that we recognize, and I want to say it now, it is the rare individual, man or woman, that has reached 60. I'll even the 50-year-olds alone. That had reached 60, 70, 80, and did not experience trauma. We all, and what we realized in talking is that a lot of the trauma that we would have realized, and trauma is not always dramatic and drastic and needing therapy. Trauma is disappointment. So trauma is not achieving the level trauma is all of that. A lot of us have just had to swallow it and continue. And it's because that same, we grew up in households where we're lucky if in the household somebody said, look, hush your mouth, you better don't say anything. Most times, nobody said anything. And
you code of silence.
You saw wrong being done. You experienced wrong being done to you, but nobody said anything. And we go through, and Jennifer and I shared the things that happened to us that was traumatic, and realizing that, look, you had to go forward, just breathe deeply and continue. But if you do not at least recognize it honestly to someone, that weight and that burden really, really pulls you down, and you keep denying yourself so much opportunity and joy. I mean, Jennifer, I don't know if you comment on that.
No, I totally agree. And again, I come back and I just repeating. You saying we shared, you have to trust that person. You have to find someone who you can trust to talk to, and
trust is not 100%. You'll never be able to trust somebody 100%.
But someone who understands you, who care about you. So when they listen, they know you really want to do better. You want to be a better person. So that's why you're talking. It's not about gossiping. But find someone, because without us expressing how we feel and what we went through and what we would like to do, then yes, Marva, we just stuck. We're gonna be just remain stuck until the end.
Yes, and what I
we are having a good time, but Marva, we have about 3 minutes to wrap up. We are having such a good time with this discussion. Yes.
Yeah.
But what would you say? I would like to ask a question. When we started, you are an EFT. What is that phrase that?
It's emotional freedom. It's emotional freedom technique. It's it's like acupuncture. And acupuncture has been around for 5,000 years, where the natural healing system of the body, which is called meridians, that we cannot see, but it's there because everything is energy. Everything is energy. So you tap on the meridians. They are very important meridians on top of your head, here, the side of your eye, under here. You tap on that. And what it does, you use a phrase. It's very broad, so I just kind of condense it. Because this modality was founded by a gentleman by the name of Gary Craig in 1969, and it has developed into, it's great, it works. So you tap on the meridians as opposed to using needles like acupuncture, and you address the issue, because you're dealing with trauma, and it could go as far back as the day that you came on this planet, and you have a statement. Even though I'm anxious and nervous and feel overwhelmed, I deeply and completely love, honor, and accept myself So you have the negative with the positive. Yes, I deeply, even though I'm overwhelmed and I feel anxious, I still deeply and completely love, honor, and accept myself. And then you continue to tap. And then you allow the person to reflect on what they just tapped on. And you will be surprised to know what comes out from the depths of their lives. Because what you're trying to do when you're an EFT practitioner is to get to the root cause of the pain and the trauma. A lot of psychiatrists are going back to school to learn to become an EFT practitioner, as opposed to sitting on a couch with, somebody sitting on a couch and talking this story over and over and over. You get to the root cause through tapping to eliminate this thing. Sometimes the client doesn't even remember the situation. You have stories are being told about childhood issues with abuse, rape. Some people are working with veterans with PTSD and stuff, because I had PTSD, and you don't have to go to war to have it. But you get to the root cause as to why you have a back pain. What load are you carrying? You unload that. You release that. Mm-hmm. You come out of that past. Your mother abandoned you. So that is what it addressed by tapping on these natural healing powers. You have the power to naturally heal yourself. And this modality is like acupuncture. It helps you to release the energy that is blocking. And knee pain, that's blockage, that's energy blocking, that you have a blockage.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very interesting and rewarding and satisfying.
I love that statement. I deeply, completely love, honor, and accept myself. And I think that is at the root of a lot of people being able to see that.
Yes, and when you say there's another word, pardon me, Terri-Ann, that you use in that deeply and completely, is when you say, and deeply and completely forgive myself. That takes people sometimes in a tailspin. Some people cry.
Yeah.
Because there is wanting to forgive somebody, tell somebody
to forgive yourself.
Somebody. But you have to forgive yourself first. And that might be one of the things that our cohorts have to address. Forgiving themselves, because the only reason why you made mistakes and you have regrets and the disappointment, it was actually for you to learn and grow and develop as a human being. And there's a lot more to learn and develop about. Because you will always have negativity, challenges and things, coming into your life. But it's only for you to grow and for you to serve others with your experience. But people forget that. People forget that is when you have the challenge, there's a seed of opportunity within that, regardless of what it is. If they know that, that might be a point of stepping forward into your authentic self.
Great.
Yeah, so there is a seed of opportunity.
Yes, in every challenge and every negativity. And you could create value, because you see, a lot of times something happens, somebody, they will do something to you and you feel that you want to get revengeful, you want something to happen to them. And when you get stuck in this thing where the person, something must happen to them. No, you want the best for them, because if you want the best for them, you will get the best for you. Yep. So it has to be a win-win. And then it will clear the energy and make life so much easier for the person. You will create the value needed for some kind of homeostasis, for some kind of a peace to reign. But nobody wants to talk.
You will be able to live, you'll be able to have a good today so that tomorrow will be better.
Thank you.
That's what will happen.
Yes, you can affect a change right now in the moment. You can affect a change in the future by the causes that you make in the present.
Today. Great.
So Marva, Terri-Ann, a lot of food for thought.
Yes.
And I am sure our audience, all those of you listening, would have taken notes and must have some great takeaway from what Mom has told us. to make a difference, to get started, to get unstuck.
Yes.
Marva, I want to thank you so much. Well, I know you're always here with us, but thanks for being with us, present in your present time, this time, and sharing, all the experience from your learning and in your profession. And yes, you do your work online also.
Yes.
So we can put your information on for those who are interested, of course, to contact you.
Yes.
And receive help.
Yeah.
Because thank you so much. We look forward again. Maybe we'll have you on again.
Oh, yes.
Because it's so much aspects that we can speak about.
Yes, we are multidimensional, and we're not we're multidimensional. Everything here is different. There's no two that
and
are
I
alike.
need to congratulate you on your beautiful art at the back, all done by Marva. And that's another story.
I didn't know anything about pouring paint.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yes. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It was a pleasure. We had fun. I love being with you all. I love the energy. Let's keep it up. Let's keep it going, because we come to serve, and let's have more compassion, more love. I'm speaking not just to us, but let's have more love, more compassion, more empathy, because the suffering is real, man.
Yeah.
The suffering is real, people.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Jennifer, I think after that discussion, it's self-explanatory. And I think her statement, I deeply, completely love, honor, accept, and forgive myself. A lot of us need to say that.
Okay. I say no more and wish you all the best. But before we close, I'm looking at our followers right now. And so many people say, Jennifer, we watch it on YouTube, but somehow it's not reflecting our numbers. So we decided to build some numbers, and we're asking you to please click and subscribe, because we are looking to reach 500 by the end of March. Yes, and you will help us do that. So basically that's it. Have a great week, and we're going to see you next week. So bye for now.
Bye. Don't forget to subscribe.
50 Plus Tribe, and follow us from Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean.
Thank you for joining us on this Connections 50 Plus 5.8G Alive show.
We hope you enjoyed the lively conversation and look forward to seeing you next week.
Don't forget to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
We really love getting your feedback. Bye for now.